Hi guys. So this is the first Excel section, and we're going to be doing two of them. So what I want to do is I want to talk about, not Excel, Access, I'm sorry. We want to do two Access projects. We don't want to, but we have to. So I want to first talk about what Access is. So Access is a database program, and a database program is a little bit different from a spreadsheet program in that a database program lets us keep track of information about stuff. So it's important to understand that a database program is very versatile, and it's a little bit difficult to kind of nail down exactly what it does because it can do so much. So basically, keeping track of information about different kinds of stuff, whether that the stuff is defined as being, say, a product in a store. So for an inventory system, you could have a database system, and you have products, and so we keep track of a product. What is the information that we need to know about something? So here I have creamy butterscotch drops, right? And so what would I want to keep track of for creamy butterscotch drops? I'd want to keep track of who my distributor is, what the price is, what the size is, obviously what they are. And creamy butterscotch, so the description of the object. Maybe I'd want to keep track of how much it costs for me to buy, my cost, and then my retail price, what I sell it for. Another thing that I might keep track of as far as like foodstuffs go would be, let's see, type, size, or weight. Obviously the price, quantity that I have in the store. I might have a reorder quantity. I might have a current sale price, a sale price and a regular price. So that would be the kind of information that I would keep track of for a food item. Now, if I was keeping track of, say, students in a college, you guys are all part of the Chaffee College database, student database, then you guys, the students, become the stuff, right? And what kind of information do I want to keep track of about students? So probably first name, last name, social security number, student ID number, your address, your phone number, and I could break your address down into street address, city, zip, state. I would want to keep track of when you enrolled in the college, how many units you have, maybe what your GPA is. What else? Obviously, I'd want to keep track of what classes you've taken. So you can see that the information that we want to keep track of varies depending on what the stuff is, what the thing is that I'm keeping the information about. So a student database or an employee database is very different than an inventory kind of database where we're keeping track of products of different kinds. So that's what a database lets us do. And Access is a database program. So what does Access let us do? Well, let me share the screen here. And okay, I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm back. My wife wanted to know what I wanted for dinner. Okay, so anyway, excuse me. So this is Access, and This is a database. And a database well, there are four main kinds of objects, and the main object of an access database is a table. A table is where we keep track of the different things, the different pieces of information we want to keep, include in the database. So for this database, I have three tables. So you can see over here, it says all access objects. It has tables, queries, forms, and reports. So what is a table? So let me double click on one of these and we could try to figure it out. Well, I don't like that one. So I'll double click on this one. No, I don't like that one. Let's go with companies. Let's go with the first one. So this is a table of companies. So the way that a table works is that each table is made up of individual fields. And here the fields, well, I guess, no, we can see them all. So in this table, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields. And the one that's highlighted right now is the company name field. And then the industry field, the description field, the city field, and the state field. So you can think of these as individual pieces of information that I would like to keep track of for a company. Now, the first one here is the company ID, and that's just an ID number that I give the company, and that seems to be the unique ID. It's a unique identifier for each company. Now, when we talk about tables, we have to talk about fields. So a field you can think of as a column, and a row, which is like this. This is a row. Well, actually, it's not a row in Access, but we call it a row in Excel. That's called a record. So each record contains the information for one of the things, in this case, companies, that I want to, so it has all of the fields for one company. So how is this record unique? Well, company name, industry, description, city, and state are all about ABA solutions. This record is about airflow manufacturing. And what industry are they in? Construction. Where are they located? In Wichita, Kansas. And if I scroll down, you can see that I have a lot of different records here. This is Hire Talent, their personal services. This is General Digital Incorporated. This is an aerospace industry company. There's a description of what the company does and where they're located. So each individual column is what we call a field, and that's like I could have if I was doing an employee database, I could have a last name and a first name and a phone number field. And then you'd have to fill in that information into those fields. And those fields going across like a row, those make up what we call a record. And so a record is for each individual thing. If it was a food item, then it would be one food item. In this case, it's a company. So we have fields and we have records. Now, how do we define a table? Well, I'll define a record. The definition of a record is it's a group of related fields. The definition of a table is that a table is a group of related records. So how are all of these records related to one another? Well, they're all companies. How are all of the fields related in a particular record? They're all pieces of information about a company in this case. So a record is a group of related fields, and a table is a group of related records. So keep that in mind. Now, having said that, There are a couple of advantages to using databases. One, it lets us separate information out and not have to duplicate it in multiple places. Two, because it's a database, I can then pull information out of the database. And by doing so, I can just pull out the information that certain people need. So the person at the cashier, for instance, at Target, or who's in the checkout line, the cashier at Target or Stater Brothers, they don't need to know all of the information that I have about products. They probably only need to know a couple, right? What's the name of the product? What's the price of the product? We maybe give them the size of the weight of the product also, so that you know you're getting, oh, it's a big bag of chips instead of a small bag of chips. Ooh, that doesn't match. And how do they look it up? Well, they look it up using a barcode. So a barcode for most products is a unique identifier for a particular thing. And this, for some odd reason, this tin doesn't have a barcode on it. But pretty much everything has a barcode on it when you buy it. Even if they have to put a price tag that has a barcode on it, like this tin does. This tin I got at TJ Maxx has a barcode, but it's part of the price because it doesn't seem to have a barcode. So they added one to it. And the barcode gets scanned and it brings up a certain amount of information. Not all of the information. So pulling stuff out of a database is called a query. A query is when you ask, right? You're curious, you ask something, you query it. So queries are another kind of object in our Access databases. So we also have forms and reports, which we will talk about in a minute. Now, there's a couple of ways to navigate and enter data. So one way to enter data would be just to be here and click, right? So I could change the name here just by editing it and clicking. I'm not going to, but I'll just show you that I can type in this, and this will update my table. You know, I could change, well, am I supposed to do something? No. It doesn't tell me to do anything. So I can edit existing data. Oh, it does tell me here to edit company ID number 29. So I'm going to find company ID number 29. And the easiest way to do that is to, in the name of the field, there's a little dot at the arrow at the dot at the top to the right. And it lets me sort this or filter it. So I want to sort this from smallest to largest. So that's going to reorder the records in my table. And since I want company ID number 29, I'm going to scroll down till I hit company ID number, oh, it happens to be the last one. Company ID number 29. And it says that I'm supposed to select Dallas and type Fort Worth. So instead of Dallas, I'm going to type Fort Worth. Spell Fort Worth. Is it 2 words? Yes, it is. There we go. Now just press enter and it takes me to the next field. And here, so I've actually updated the information in the company's table. Now here I have in the industry field, I have a drop-down menu and I'm going to edit that because you can edit anything. So I'm going to edit that by double-clicking telecommunications. Where's telecommunications? Here. Okay. And then I'm going to type media as shown. Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to do that here. in the description field, I was supposed to double click to show you that I can double click to highlight a word and type media. And then I was supposed to go to the list arrow here and pick information. I was just supposed to change this. So I've edited the table. I have updated my table and I'm good. Now I'm supposed to go to the jobs table. And you can see that this is a table of jobs. Now, this table is keeping track. Each record represents a different job. And let me scroll to the right here. There's a starting salary and job responsibilities and job titles and a company ID, Alark Incorporated, Ozark College, Morris College, Bank of the Midwest. And there's a unique identifier for each job. That's the job ID number. Now, what's interesting is that with a relational database, my tables can have a relationship. And so I think the company ID field is the one that links this to the companies. So let me just go to Alark Incorporated, which is my fifth company, my fifth record in the company table. And then let me go back to jobs. Yep. So here, there are 2 jobs by Alark Incorporated, or for Alark Incorporated. So they offer 2 jobs. So I don't have to add this stuff to the other table, you know, the starting salary and all of this kind of stuff. I can have that as a unique table, and then I can interlock those 2 or connect those 2 and pull any of the information out however I want. And I'll show you how it'll make a little bit more sense once you see an example of doing that. So let's take a look at the print preview. So we do have a quick access toolbar up here. And I'm going to add the print preview to it. Otherwise, I have to go to File. So I'm just going to click on that. And I'm going to look at what it is that it's printing and how it's printing. And right now it's printing the jobs table. And it's a little bit different than our other print previews. I can change this to landscape if I want, or portrait. I can show, I should say, 2 pages or multiple pages. I could show 8 pages. It's going to show me how it's going to print. I can set the size and the margins. I can do a page setup, print options, and all kinds of stuff. But you can see that my table is really wide, so it's only showing me 3 fields for each record on a page. So maybe if I change the to landscape, no, it's only showing me 3. I guess I could go into page setup and there are my margins. I go landscape, size, letter, specific printer, portrait or landscape. Okay, I'll just press OK. Page size, my margins, print. I'm going to close this. Databases really aren't made to print the tables from. What we do if we want to print something and make it look nice is we create a report. So let's talk about creating some of these objects and how we modify things. So the second part here is talking about modifying fields and using field properties. So I'm going to go back to my companies table. Oh, wait a second. This is the industries? No. table is this? Oh, they wanted me to create a table. So let's create a table. Let's do a table first. All right, 2 pages were kind of stuck together when I turned the page. So let's create a table. So let's go to the Create tab. Boom. And then we're going to create, in the tables group, we're going to go with table design. And that basically changes the view. So I'm going to do this, create table design. And now this looks very different. I am in what we call design view. And design view doesn't show me any of the data that's entered into a table. And this one is going to be a new table. So I'm creating it in design view. This only shows me the fields that I'm going to include in my table for each record and the data type. And I can have an optional description of what should go into the field. So here, I'm just going to name some of these as shown in figure 1.7, which now means I need glasses. Okay, contact ID is going to be the first field that I create. Then I'm going to press enter, and it's going to prompt me for the kind of data that I want to enter here. And so I have some different options that I can pick from. And I'm going to do an auto number. That means that Access is going to generate a unique number. Boy, these are filthy. Is going to generate a unique number every time I enter a new record or start entering data for a new record. And if you look down at the bottom, it says field properties. What's the field size? Indexed, yes, duplicates, okay. So there's some things that I can change down here. Not a whole lot. I'm going to press enter again, twice, to go to and create another field. This is going to be contact first. This is short text, which is the default setting. Contact last. So I guess this is going to be first and last name. By the way, when I go to short text, you can see that the field properties are different. The field size, how long, what it is that you can enter, how long is that? I could have an input mask. Basically, an input mask is like, a lot of times when you are asked for your phone number, right? It already has a little dash and it's got the parentheses for the area code. And then you just type and it starts typing into the right spots. That's an input mask. Is there a default value that's associated with this field? Is it required? Allow zero length, yes or no? Which basically means, can you leave it blank? Yes or no? What else do I have? Text align. I can figure out how to align the text in this field, in the cells for this field. So I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm going to do contact phone and contact email, and that's going to be a hyperlink. So contact phone. And I typed an X at the beginning there. There we go. That's short text, and then contact email. And that's going to be a hypertext data type. So I'm going to pick that. Hyperlink, sorry. There's hyperlink. Okay. So now I have all of the fields, and I've basically created a table. Now the table's empty, and I'm looking at it in design view. So I'm going to change my view. So if you go over here to the left, you can see that there's a view button. And it says datasheet view and design view. This is design view. I'm going to go back to datasheet view, and it says I should save the table first before so I'm going to. And I'm going to give the table a name. What am I going to call it? Contacts. Press OK. And then I says, there's no primary key defined. Do you want to create a primary key now? And so I'm going to click no. Basically, a primary key contains a unique record for each, contains a piece of unique data for each record. And I think it's going to be the contact ID, but we can always change that later if we need it. So I have saved the table. Look, it says contacts here. And if I look at my objects, I have a contacts table, but there's no data in any of my fields. And by the way, just like in Excel, you can double click here to make the field width fit the widest entry. And so I'm supposed to enter some data. So we can do data entry in datasheet view. You can't do it in field view, in design view, I'm sorry. You can't do it in design view. You can only do it in datasheet view, or we create a form that lets me fill out information, which is what we normally do. But so I'm just going to press tab because I don't enter the auto ID. Remember, it's an auto number. So it's going to generate one as soon as I start typing in here. So I'm going to type in Douglas. And I'm going to press tab, Griffey. Tab. Then there's a phone number. I'm going to type in 555-444-3333. And I'll press tab and contact email and type dgriffey at accentgroup.com. Now, if I press tab again, oh, by the way, my contact email field isn't wide enough, so I'm going to double click here at the end if I can get it. There we go. And now it auto-sized it to make it fit the email address. But I pressed tab, so now it wants me to start a new record, and I could enter the information for the second record, the second contact person, which I'm not going to do right now. So, because they don't want me to. And then I'm going to save the table. And the way we do that is a little bit weird because you have to work with objects and then you work with the whole database. So I'm just going to click the save button, and that saves my contacts table. And my contacts table tab is open, so I'm going to click the X and that's going to close it. Now my company's table is, I'm going to click these little, do I want to save it? Yes. Or no, I actually don't. Then I want to close that and close that. Oops. No, I don't want to save the layout. And so I've closed them, but my objects are still here. To get back into them, all I have to do is double click on it. So I want to go back to my contacts table because they want me to change some of the field or modify some of the fields. So now I'm going to go back into design view. And I'm on my home ribbon, and the left one is the views button. I can just click on this one. There's two views here, data sheet and design. And so it kind of flips between the two. Now I'm in design view. And so what do they want me to modify? They want me to click the contact first name field. So contact first. They want me to change the field size from 255 characters allowed for your first name to 20. Is that it? Click the contact's last name field. There we are. and make that 20. Okay, I will. Then I'm just going to go to my quick access toolbar and press save. And see, it's telling me, hey, some data may be lost. One of the field sizes has been changed to a shorter size. And I'm going to say yes. And there we go. So you can change any of the field properties at any time. Okay, so I'm going to go back and change my view back to datasheet view. And there we go. Now, we're supposed to create a query. A query is a way to pull information out of a database. So I'm going to do that by going to the Create tab, and I'm going to use the Query Wizard. And then it asks me what kind of query. There are 4 kinds of queries, and I'm going to use the Simple Query Wizard and press OK. And now it's going to ask me, what information do you want to pull out? And the first thing at the top is it's asking me, okay, so where is the information coming from? So here I have this little drop-down menu where I can pull information out of other objects from my database. Now, let's see what I'm supposed to use. It says that I'm supposed to click the companies table one and pick it. Now it shows me the available fields for the companies table. And I'm supposed to click state. And click this little arrow to move over. I could also double click on it. Then I'm supposed to click the jobs table. So I'm just going to click on the jobs table. And the jobs table doesn't have a state for the job in it. So, but I'm going to use job title. So I'm going to use that job title. So I'm going to double click on that. That moves it over. And then starting salary. And that moves that over there. And then I'm going to click next. And which one do they want? Detail or summary? They want detail. And then here, I'm going to change the name. So what title do I want for my query? I want it to be the jobs by state. Jobs by state. So jobs, oops. By state. Delete and click finish. And here's the information that I've pulled out. I pulled out from the companies table, the state, and I pulled out from the jobs table, the job title and the starting salary. So how did it know what state it's in? Well, the state is in the companies, right? And the jobs table also has a companies field, so it associated those two together. Now, what they want me to show you is that you can sort. And I'm going to sort both of these. And I'm going to sort them A to Z, ascending. So it sorted both of these. It did the states first, but then it did the job title also. So you can see that Alabama, I have how many records? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it didn't sort the job title. Why did it not sort the job title? It should have. So let me do that again. Oh, because I sorted it differently. So I want to do it here on the home ribbon. In the sort and filter, I'm going to do ascending. So basically what it's done is it's applied the ascending, which means A to Z, or 1 to Z, to infinity, or descending would be the opposite way, going down. So Z to A, or from your largest number to your smallest number. So what it did was it sorted the state fields in ascending order. So state is a sort of ascending. So you can see Alabama comes before Arkansas, comes before Arizona, comes before Colorado. But for each state, the job title is also sorted in ascending order. So data analyst comes before program coordinator, which comes before resource manager, and then QRST, technology support specialist, is the last one. So you can see that I've made a change. I'm going to click the save button. I'm going to save that. I'm going to close it. And now anytime anybody wants to see the jobs that are available by state, they just double click the job by state query and it pulls it out. And you can see that the ascending sort order that I applied to it got saved. So it's going to do that every time. Now we have a couple of other queries here. There's a jobs by industry that was already created. And you can see that this query is pulling out different information. It's pulling out the industry, and that seems to be ascending. The company name seems to be sorted in ascending order. Then we have the city and the state, which isn't sorted in any way, job title and starting salary. So this one is another way to pull information out from different tables. So let's see what else we're supposed to do. We're supposed to create a form. So what's a form? Well, let's create one and see what it is. So I'm going to click create. Oh, let me close this. I'm going to click create, the create tab, and I'm going to click the form wizard button, which is right here in the forms group. It looks very similar to the query group. And so I'm going to go to my tables and pick contacts. So I'm going to go here and pick the contacts table. And I'm going to select all of the available fields by using this double arrow here. Now they're all selected. Then I'm going to click next. And I want to do this as a column. So I'll click next. And I'm supposed to write contact entry for the title. And then I'm going to click finish. And by the way, it's going to open the form to view or enter information right away. So here's the form. It's a form for entering contact information. Now, with a form, I can see one record at a time. And the fields, so it makes it easier to read because I only see one record. I only see the fields for one record. And I can cycle through them. Now, I don't have more, but I'm supposed to use this to do data entry into the contacts form. So I'm going to do that by clicking down here at the bottom where I can navigate. And I'm going to click this button here that says new record. And so you can see it kind of looks the way it did in datasheet, datasheet view. But the form makes it easy to do data input. So what am I supposed to do? I'll do one. So the contact ID, I don't need because it's automatically generated. I just need to enter the first name. Then I press enter. Oops, I forgot the N. Then I press enter. Then I do the last name. Then I'm going to do the phone number. And then the contact email. And I'm going to press enter. And notice it took me to a new field. Now this has now updated my table. And by the way, if I look down here at the bottom, it says record 3 of 3. Would be the third record. I only have 2 records in this table. So I'm going to go back and see it's showing me the information for the second record and now the first record. And so a form is used to view records one at a time, to be able to edit each record, right? To do data entry for new records. So those are really the 3 things that a form is used for. We can use forms for other things, but that's the kind of data entry form. And it lets me edit existing records. It lets me add new records to a table, and I can easily see one record at a time. And by the way, I can do a search too. There's a little search button down here. So I can look for stuff in the record and it'll pull it up. Oh, and it's actually, I'm supposed to change this to Doug. So I'm going to, and I'm going to click the next record here, and it should have updated my table. So, yep, see? So let's take a look at the table really quick. I'm going to open the table. It's the contacts table. You can see now there are 2 records in my contacts table. And guess what? Doug has been changed. So I did that through the form. So you can see why forms are nice. So there's company entry. I'll show you this one. See, it shows me all kinds of things that I can enter. I can look at this. I can change stuff. So it makes it easy. It makes data entry a lot easier. And I can close the form. Close that and close that. So let's create a report. And what is a report? A report is basically, here, I'll show you. A report is basically a query where I pull information out of a database from wherever I want, but it's formatted so that it looks nice when I print it. So basically that's what a report is. Have the report on my desk. So here is this, you can see it's formatted to make it look nice so that when I print it out and I put it in a binder or something or hand it to you, it looks nice, it's easy to read. Whereas a query is just pulling raw data out of the database and showing it to me, here it is. This makes it look super nice. You can see, well, super nice. And it doesn't duplicate too much information because of the way this is set up. So how do we create a report? We go to the Create tab, and guess what? Here's Design. Report Wizard. I'm going to guess we're going to use the Report Wizard. And I'm going to click the companies table, which is already selected, and I'm going to do the state, the industry, the company name, and then description. So I've changed the order a little bit. Then I'm going to click Next. And now it's asking me how I want to group these together. Do I want to group it by state? Do I want to group it by company name? I'm just going to click Next. I'm not going to putz with that. And now it's asking me to sort stuff. So I'm going to click the state because I want this sorted by the state. And how do I want it sorted? Ascending. And the next one, I want to do company name. Ascending. And then I'll click Next. and they want a stepped layout. And how do I want it oriented, portrait or landscape? And I'm good, so I'm going to click next. And I'm going to change the name. So this is going to be from companies to industry list. And I did it wrong. I would have gotten it wrong. So I need a capital I. And then I'm going to click, by the way, it's going to preview the report. So I'm going to click finish. See, here's the report that I just created. It's an industry list, the industry, then the state, the company name, the description. It's sorted by industry. It's also alphabetized by state for each industry and the company name. And then the description is over here on the right. And I haven't done anything funky here. As you can see, it's page 1 out of 5. Let's look at the next page and see what we got. There we go. It starts with energy here and it goes down. So this is a report. They're easy to create. They're very difficult to do very complex ones. They can be hours of work, but using the report wizard lets you get something very quickly. So again, very easy to create a report and to pull basically information out of the database. The last thing that I want to talk about for this section is how to compact and back up a database, because you have to do it. So let me close this report. Let me close the print preview for the report. Now I'm in design view for the report, which is very complicated, so we'll change the view. And then I'm going to close this, and it's going to close this one too. And I'm going to go to my database tools, and here is compact and repaired database. So basically what it does is it compresses the database information, and it looks for things that may be broken, links that may not work, associations that may no longer work. And it's a good idea to do this every once in a while. You have to, I clicked on it and you can see I didn't get any errors. I didn't get any issues with it. So it's perfectly fine. But it's always a good idea to do this before you close the database, after you've edited it. So one of the things that you can do is you can set this compact and repaired database thing to happen every time you close a database, which is probably a good idea if you are working with databases on a regular basis. So the way to do that is to if I go to the File tab here, and I go to Options, which is the last one, and I go to, which one is it? It's option to automatically user interface, creating databases. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Add-ins? No. It's here somewhere. Let's take a look. Compact on close. Here it is. close. I wonder, no, it's here. It's in the current database. Compact on close. So when I close this, you must close and reopen the current database for the specific option to take effect. So I'm going to close this database. And then I'm going to reopen it. And then I think when I close it, it automatically, yeah, it doesn't even ask. It just automatically does it. So it does that. Otherwise, you have to go to database tools, compact and repair database. So anyway, that's module 1. I will have a video for module 2 shortly. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Good luck.